Hello, welcome to the kitchen. Today I'm going to show you how to do a hand pipe lace technique onto a cake. So let's get started. First thing I need is some greaseproof paper. I'm going to mark out a scalloped shape around here. So what I want to do is just make sure that I've got a piece the same diameter as the base tier, which I have. And now what I'm going to do is just fold it in half. Fold it in half again and again. So I've got my sections for my scallop, so what I'm going to do is just now fold this piece in half. Okay, so I'm just going to cut a little part circle just up like this. So then that's going to, when I open it, give me a nice scallopy shape. So I'm just going to fasten it at the back. Going to get a little bit of my jazzy sellotape there. This has now given me a guideline, so I can take a cocktail stick and just trace all the way along the top. So I'm just scratching all the way around the template into the surface of the icing. There we go. So I can now remove this. And as you can see, I've got a rough guideline ready for me to pipe over with my royal icing. I've got royal icing in a piping bag. I have a number 2 and a number 3 round nozzle. So I'm going to start by around the edge, just using the number 3 slightly wider nozzle. And I'm also going to be using some paint brushes. I've got a little bit of water in here because I'm going to brush the icing onto the cake to kind of create a nice lace effect. So just pipe along the first section. Just drag your piping bag across using a little bit of pressure. And then take your paintbrush. Squeeze off a little bit of the excess water, you don't want it to be too wet. And then just touch onto the line and just drag down. So you're kind of pressing the icing against the surface of the cake, just with a damp brush. If you notice that the brush gets a bit sort of loaded up with icing, just pop it back into the water, squeeze off the excess and just repeat that. There we go. So what I'm going to do is go all the way around the cake now. So now I'm going to take my number 2 nozzle and just do some tiny dots all the way along the top of the scallop. Squeeze against the cake, stop squeezing and pull away. So just random dots really, so you just hold the piping nozzle right up against the edge of the cake and that will just give it a nice lacy effect. Okay, so now I'm going to fill in my lace panel here. You can do any pattern you like. I've got this lace here. It's got a really nice kind of leaf pattern that goes around the top edge. For this, I'm going to be using my number 2 nozzle, slightly finer. Again, I'm using gentle pressure, just squeezing the royal icing out of my piping bag. And as you can see, I've got the piping bag really close, so I'm pretty much touching the icing. So you can kind of just almost draw with the royal icing. So I'm going to kind of create one large flower in each of the sections, and then use some little filler dots. So let's just add my larger flower now. And where I have got some small gaps here, I just like to add a few triple dots just to fill in some of the blank space, and that will just give you kind of lace effect once it's completed. So I'm just going to go around the whole cake doing that. And also you can see there's a bit of a join where we've got a cake sat on top of the base tier, and also around here. So I've got my number 3 nozzle and I'm just going to fill in this gap by squeezing little pearls all the way around. Twist the cake round. So I'm just going to repeat what I've done here until I've completely covered the cake. There we go, so that's completely covered. I'm going to give that 2 hours to set, and then we'll come back and add our pearl lustre. So my cake is all dry now. I'm going to add a little bit of lustre to mine. You don't have to, but it does look nice on the pearl detail. I've got a bit of piping gel, just to need about a teaspoon, and a little bit of pearl lustre, and just add over those kind of little pearl details. Just a little touch, just to make them twinkle a little bit. There you go, so once everything's lustered, you are finished. Hope you enjoyed that. For more videos, check out bakingmad.com.